Okay, so how does blood pressure change? And basically there are these little things in the little receptors in the large vessels called baroreceptors. These are stretch receptors. So they monitor how much stretch is in the large vessels. So they monitor large vessels for amount of stretch. So these receptors, these baroreceptors, link into the medulla oblongata. So this little, little place in the spinal cord, or in the brainstem, sorry. So the medulla oblongata. So we're looking at the cardiac center in the medulla. So what can happen from there? So a couple things can happen. So heart rate can be changed. So based on the amount of stretch, if the vessels have a bunch of stretch on them, that means pressure is high. If there's no stretch, that means pressure is low. So there are different things that can be done to change that, to affect that. And one thing is to stimulate the heart. So heart rate can be changed. When heart rate is affected, or things that affect heart rate are called chronotropic factors. Another thing that can be done is affecting or changing force or contractility. And again, those are called inotropic factors. So again, remember, this is the force of contraction. So blood pressure can be changed or altered through the vessels, not just the heart. If we've done everything that we can do with the heart, what else can be done? The vessels can be will step in, right? So we can change the blood pressure with vessels instead of the heart by changing the diameter. So changing, let's use a different color. Changing vessel diameter can change or affect blood pressure. And in fact, it has the largest effect on blood pressure. So by changing the diameter of the vessel to make it, if we make it smaller, smaller, the diameter smaller equals increased resistance, which means increased blood pressure. Making it larger causes decreased resistance. resistance, sorry, which means decreased blood pressure. So what vessels change in diameter? Come over here. Well, arteries, change in diameter. Arteries change in diameter. Arterioles change in diameter. And veins change in diameter because they all have smooth muscle. All have smooth muscle. Those are the three types of vessels that have smooth muscle, so they can change their diameter. But it turns out that arterioles have the most effect on blood pressure. So arterioles, they constrict or vasoconstrict and vasodilate depending on the demand of the tissues. And when they dilate or vasoconstrict, they have the most effect on the distribution of blood. So it's going to be arterioles that have the greatest effect on the blood pressure. So now let's look at the vessel itself and the vessel and the blood within the vessel to see what different things affect the blood pressure and blood flow and all that.